right in front of you. No matter the distance in the journey, I will search far and wide for all the answers. Life has no shortcuts, but when it comes to the squared circle, I'm gonna be cutting corners to get you the truth. As House of Glory presents Cutting Corners with JD. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cutting Corners. I am JD, and my special guests today are Alex and Charles Mason. Have a seat, gentlemen.
You expect us to...
We're not sitting here.
You're gonna come on my show and you're gonna tell me what to do?
Get up. You're sitting.
All right. Well, being that the furniture situation is squared away, are you guys comfortable?
Much better than you are.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my show and they're coming on my show and ordering me around. But regardless of that, I've been wanting to get you guys on the show for a very long time. How are you guys doing today?
Our stock is at an all-time high, but we would be doing much better if we weren't in this raggedy place that you call a wrestling school.
I'm sorry I didn't accommodate you guys better.
Next time we'll pick the setting.
Yes, I know. It's my fault. But I've been wanting to get you guys on the show for a very long time. Tell everybody who you guys are. Like, give me some sort of backstory about you guys. The House of Glory faithful would love to know.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
We're rich. We come from an elite royal family, and there are many families in the world that, of course, stem from an elite royal bloodline, and we're going to allow you to take a guess as to which family that is. It's none of your business to know as to who, but we live a very luxurious life, a life that many, of course, dream that they once even had, but more or less, who we are is not important. It's the message behind who we are that's relevant.
Yes, absolutely. Now, we were raised in million-dollar mansions all over the world. I know someone like yourself has struggled every day to eat, to provide for their families, and that's just not what we had to endure. I was raised mostly by my butlers because my parents were away making millions. And like my brother just mentioned, the message is more important than how we were brought up, okay? And that's that we're better than everyone around us. Everyone that you've encountered in your lives, we're better than you.
So what did you guys do before HOG? That's what you did?
Oh, we were into finance, business, real estate, property value. That's what we were into. So it doesn't matter as to what we did before, it more or less matters as to what we're doing now.
And what exactly are you doing now? What do you guys want to accomplish now that you're in the House of Glory Tag Team Division?
That's a fine question. I know that's the best question that your little mind could come up with, but see, we are here to collect what is entitled to us, and those are the Tag Team Championships. And now we're not just going to stop here. This is just the first stop on our journey. Now, growing up and seeing how the other half lives and how horribly you live, I think we're going to do you a favor by keeping you low and letting you see what life should be like. And we're going to be those examples for the House of Glory faithful, for the wrestlers at House of Glory, to see someone who can inspire them. And that's what we're going to be when we collect.
So I should consider myself lucky then.
Yeah, you are lucky
Absolutely.
to be in this interview, sitting across from us.
Tremendously.
Where are you guys making your seasonal residence? What's your seasonal residence?
At the moment?
Yes.
At the moment.
Yes.
See, we flew in today from Dubai.
Really?
And tomorrow we'll be somewhere else, and the next day we'll
So
be
again,
somewhere
like I
else.
said, I consider myself lucky that you guys made the flight from Dubai to come here.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the Tag Team Division, I feel like I shouldn't be asking you guys generic questions, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's what I have to do.
It's all you can do.
Yes. All right. Who are your influences as far as tag teams? Like, where did you get your influence to join together wrestling? This is what I want to do.
Well, to join together, that was an easy decision. We've grown up together.
Well, besides that, like, what made you guys want to get into the professional wrestling business?
We were bored. Do you not understand how stressful it is to be running enterprises, businesses, establishments of that nature? Of course you don't. Neither do your viewers or anybody else watching this. So we got a little bit of bored, money lying around for what? So we decided to get our feet wet a little bit and just dive into this wrestling world. And so far it's paid off very well, but not to the extent in which we want to achieve, of course. But we don't have any influences. Our influencers are our mother and our father, who are very wealthy, very wealthy.
So no professional wrestling-related influences at all?
If you want to get into specifics, I
Yes,
guess.
please.
There was a time, once upon a time, where I was a young child. After I was done playing polo and riding on my horses, I came into my home theater, I turned it on, and I put on an event known as WrestleMania. And I saw 6 men battling through ladders and chairs and tables and destroying their bodies and captivating millions. And I ran up to my brother who was upstairs, doing whatever it is
I remember.
You remember that, right?
I remember.
Yeah, I came upstairs and I told him, we can do this. If these men, the Hardy Boys was one of their names?
I believe so.
I think the Dudley Boys.
Yes.
And Edge and
Christian.
some basic name like that.
Yes.
Christian. If they can do it, we can captivate billions. And it's all about money for us. It's all about how we are going to gain financially. So we trained our entire lives to be here at this moment. Now, I could have called in a favor by a good friend of ours up there in Connecticut, but it just wouldn't have been as fun.
I get you. But coming from royalty, obviously, and you describing your backgrounds, with a promotion like House of Glory paving the way for a lot of young talent in the industry, do you guys see yourselves, I guess this is a stupid question, do you guys see yourselves as role models of sorts to the younger talent, to those who might be new to the business, and what advice would you give the rookies up and coming?
Paving the way, nobody's paved the way for us at all. We're the ones paving the way for younger talent to follow in our footsteps and not being less or mediocre as to what they're accustomed to. Now that's a very meta question, and of course it's a very subjective question too, because I can see the biasism behind that question. However, you have to understand, and I'm going to elaborate so that way you can understand me better, we're not here to set any example. We're not here to influence anybody. We're here simply because we want to prove a point that we, that are bored at home, who come from a tremendous amount of wealth, can do what we want at any given point, and they will compensate us correctly. There are lesser talent that see us as a threat, which they should, but there's no influence. The message behind what we're doing is to establish ourselves in this wrestling world as being the best in the world. And to prove that, and we will, we've been setting the precedent to go after a specific group who just so happen to hold the House of Glory Tag Team Championships.
Which I'll get into in a bit, but what's the best advice that someone has given you guys?
No one has given us advice. No one. Aside from our parents. And their message was to just go out and make money and continue the legacy. But if I was to give advice to anybody that aspires to be a wrestler, I would say that you have no chance. There's no chance that
Really?
no chance that you can be as good as we are.
The irony behind that is you hear stories about people growing up and they live in their car, they have to struggle to pay rent. We don't know what that's like. We eat steaks after wrestling events. We travel right after, going to Dubai, Slovenia, Hawaii. We can't relate to normies, to people that are less. So there is no.
I'm getting the vibe that you guys don't respect the business.
We do to an extent, but we just don't respect the talent that wants to overlook us as being something
Absolutely.
less than they are.
The only business that we respect is the business that we create.
And the finance business, of course.
Of course. But where do you guys see yourself in 10 years? Yeah, I mean, could you see yourself involved with the fine people up in Stamford, Connecticut?
I think that for my brother and I, 10 years from now, I would see us flying into another beach across the world, retired probably from this mediocre business after we've conquered it. I see 10 years from now we would be the best in the world. People will beg for us to make comebacks, but I think in about 5 years from now, we probably have done all that we can accomplish.
Or maybe by next year. We could have done everything by next year. Maybe we could. But to further establish your question, because I can see your narrative here as to what could be the goal, that right there is the goal, to retire, and we will. But to simplify that, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, NXT, WWE. The rest is irrelevant.
Well, being that you mentioned all those fine promotions, do you guys have a dream match that you'd love to be
WWE
involved?
against anyone and anyone. Anyone,
Specifically.
anybody.
Give me a name. You mentioned the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge
I got
and
you.
Christian, all Hall of Fame.
First name, anyone. Last name, everyone.
That's the answer you're going to get.
That's the
Absolutely.
answer.
Let's talk about what's going on in the landscape of the House of Glory Tag Team division. Explain to everybody your relationship with Matthew Ryan Shapiro. How did that come about? And what was the inner details of that relationship with the New York Wrecking Crew just kind of crumbling at the seams there?
So we started here with a man named Prince Nana. Now royalty recognizes royalty. And while Prince Nana has become lucky enough to serve as one of our financial advisors, we've let him maintain that role. So he advised to us that we hire a man named Matthew Ryan Shapiro. Now Matthew Ryan Shapiro has been known to get things done. He's a trustworthy man. And that's how that relationship started.
Anything to add to that?
Oh, well, behind the scenes, the practices in which we came about this negotiation and agreement is none of your business. That's number one. But,
Well, it is my business. It's my show. It's called Cutting Corners. I got to get the details.
well, you can cut any corner you want. I'm saying that this is none of your business. However, Matthew Ryan Shapiro does play a very intricate role in what we do. Of course, recommended by Prince Nana,
Absolutely.
a very trustworthy man. So, he's simply here for reinsurance purposes and just to follow his guidance.
And I can assure you that Matthew Ryan Shapiro made a wise decision, probably the only decision.
The best.
And absolutely, and dropping that baggage that was holding him back, being the New York Wrecking Crew.
Speaking of the New York Wrecking Crew, I failed to mention, and I wanted to mention this earlier. How are you feeling following the last event with the table spot from Mr. Bully Ray? I think you mentioned something about taking him to court or suing him or
Absolutely. You can bet that I've been trying to take this man to court. My legal team, our legal team, has been up all day, all night, trying to find a way to sue this man. The problem is, after a lengthy career, he has nothing. There's nothing to take from the man. So
the Hall of Famer?
The Hall of Famer. He's blown it all. Just like most peasants in this world, they get some money, they blow it. I don't know what he's blown it on, probably cheap alcohol and women.
Cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburger. You can
usual.
see by his weight. Okay, he's even been desperate enough to have to do a local talk show. Right, this man has nothing.
Well, that's what I do.
But you also have nothing. See what you have in common?
Yeah. But moving away from that, I'm sure Bully Ray will hear this eventually.
I hope he does.
But speaking of the New York Wrecking Crew, you have also an issue, I believe you mentioned on Instagram with Chris Seaton that you're going to break his other leg and that you're going to take a picture of that broken leg and frame it in your gallery.
Absolutely.
You know, what is the issue with Chris Seaton and Smooth Blackman? How do you feel about management actually having you guys go through the Wrecking Crew to get the House of Glory Tag Team Championships that you think you deserve?
Well, it's extremely fallacious. It's very egregious to have us even be anywhere near these filthy pieces of trash to begin with. Listen, in a business like this, you have to be suitable enough and stable enough to, quote, carry the stigma that is of a championship belt. They didn't happen to fit that narrative because, of course, they were weak. And that's what Matthew Ryan Shapiro recognized in the fact that they were weak. They were poor. And, of course, they were just unworthy of even bearing those titles to begin with. So, our personal problem with the New York Wrecking Crew stems from them having to now get involved in our business. Our business was never with the New York Wrecking Crew. At the time, they just so happened to have been champions, and the rest is history. And my brother broke Chris Seaton's leg. Is that a crime against humanity? Absolutely not. He got what was coming. So now, he had recovered. His leg is all fine. He's able to walk again. And what do? The minute they have any sort of recovery time or a window of opportunity to stick their nose in our business, they do so. And which derailed our opportunity in capitalizing against LAX, which we were that close in doing. So now this has become a personal issue, and we've also considered taking legal action, but as my brother said, what is there to take if they make nothing?
Speaking of LAX, how do you guys feel about LAX's historic House of Glory Tag Team title reign? And what brought you guys to crash their parade a couple of months back? How'd that come to be?
I can tell you.
Despicable act, by the way.
I can tell you that those two gentlemen have been coddled. They've been babied by House of Glory management because they represent everything that Mr. Brian Baez ever wanted to be. They're two successful Hispanic men. All right, give them that. They have had success in this business, but they haven't gone up against real competition. They haven't gone up against the
How can you
Masons.
sit here in front of me and say that?
Because they haven't gone up against us one-on-one. And we are the only competition in this industry.
Undisputed Era, ACH, Rich Swann.
Those are nobodies.
Irrelevant. The fact that House of Glory has yet to put us in a legitimate one-on-one tag team match against the so-called best in the world is atrocious. It's egregious. And for that, we could easily show up and collect our compensation and leave. But we're competitory. We are competitors at nature. And of course, for LAX, the reasoning behind it, they're undeserving. They're highly overrated. And for us, it's another opportunity to once again expose to the world how mediocre these two gentlemen are. And granted, they may have paved the way in their own sense of accomplishments and doing things that, could be looked at as something of a high profile like standard, but what we're about to achieve in 2019 is going to even exceed that of in any caliber. So with LAX, I think if House of Glory had any sort of rationality behind reasoning, they would put us against them for those titles.
They do have
No,
reason.
they do not, sir. And allow me to give you an example. The only time we were ever able to get our hands on LAX was at High Intensity 6.
May I tell you, gentlemen,
four
that
others.
the New York Wrecking Crew never lost the championships.
And we never lost the match. A singles tag team.
So they're doing the right thing in my eyes.
So we've never been pinned. And I want to go
Never.
back. I want to go back to that fateful night, that beautiful night in which we crashed the parade of LAX. See, that's what that event is what angers me so much. That these men who have been given everything, handed to them by House of Glory, think that they can just bring people from the crowd in to celebrate with them. And it's not about race. It's not about the fact that they're Puerto Rican. It's about that these poor men brought in the rest of the peasants that they see around them to celebrate. To celebrate what? To celebrate the fact that they come from a commonwealth? The fact that they come from an island that had just suffered from a hurricane, and instead of going over there to help those that needed help, they're here partying. They don't have any respect for those around
Don't you
them.
think they deserve to party after all the hard work that they put in?
Don't you think that their families and their loved ones need their help and support? These are the people that you and the rest of the House of Glory faithful look up to. But they have no allegiance to anyone. What they're going to do is, as soon as we beat them and take those titles from them, they're going to leave. Because they don't care for those around them.
No integrity, no perseverance. What they matter or
Don't
what they have.
tell it to me. LAX.
Oh, no, of course.
They know where you guys are. They're not afraid. You talk to that camera. You tell them.
We'll address them when the time is right, but we're just answering your question in a sense to where deserving is very subjective, very meta. The fact that House of Glory has never once put us in the ring against them directly speaks volumes. Why? Because up until this point, who have they faced at House of Glory that pushed them to their breaking point? I'll wait. Nobody. That's why they were able to hold on to those titles long enough. Until we came around last December. The irony behind that, right? And we've been making our claim. We've been going through every single tag team, every single competitor put in front of us. And now we have another problem, the New York Wrecking Crew. But once we're finished with them, and we will be, LAX is going to be next. And when the day comes when we're put up against them, we will prove to everybody in the world, more importantly to us because we already know the answer, that we are superior and better than LAX ever could dream to be.
The stage is yours. I have nothing else to add on top of what you just said. Look into the camera, tell House of Glory for 2019 what to expect from you two guys.
In 2019, Chris Seaton, Smooth Blackman, we're going to break both of your legs. And then Santana and Ortiz, we are coming for those championship title belts. You are not going to make it to Culture Clash. We're going to take those belts before you can represent your culture at that event. So this is a warning to you that we are coming for you. So be ready.
That's it. This interview is now over. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
JD, the pleasure is all yours.
Thank you guys very much. House of Glory, 8th-year anniversary show, December 15th, NYC Arena. Tickets on sale now, HOGwrestling.net. The Masons will be there. Come on out.